Okay. What do you want to talk about?
Where do we start?
Well, in November or so.
Oh, you're not that far back. It all started, actually, I think it might have started Sunday, the Sunday before he was born. He was born on a Tuesday, so, August 25th. I was having contractions, like, in the late afternoon after we had had lunch with the family, and, like, I think that's when I first noticed that I could, like, time them and stuff, because remember, I was like sitting on the couch having conversations with your mom, and then I would like stop talking for a minute just so I could count it. Like, it wasn't that it was hurting, it was just like, oh wow, something's actually happening. So I think that's when I noticed that change was coming. And Monday came and everything had like disappeared. Like everything was gone. I didn't feel anything. Yeah, because I remember, I think that was the night that I like cried. And you like hugged me because I told you that I was like, I just thought he would be there because I felt contractions the day before.
Yeah.
And Tuesday came around and I think, I'm trying to remember when I noticed everything starting. I think I like took a shower and then I got out and I was like, oh man, that was sharp. Like there was something that was like, it just felt different. It felt more intense, I guess. Yeah, I think that's when they started to feel more intense. And so you were at work, and so it was just me at the house. I texted my mom, told her how I was feeling, told her what was going on. Mom came over, and my contractions were, they were further apart. They were probably like 8-9 minutes apart at that point. Like I could talk through them, and I would just like stand, and I would just breathe through it, and they only lasted like, I don't know, like literally like 20-30 seconds. It wasn't that long. And it wasn't until you got home that I started like actually needing to rest for a minute. So you got home around what, 1?
Yeah, I was gonna say probably about 12:31.
Yeah, and then that's when I think that's when I started to notice them getting more intense. Just they still were only lasting like 30-40 seconds, but they would feel like a little bit more painful. So I just remember, like, I think this is why I need you to help me, because like I think from like 3 p.m. on out was when I started zoning out and not really having a concept of time or like what was happening.
Yeah. Because
I remember at one point I like was on the couch telling you that I didn't know if I was going to be able to handle like real labor, because these early labor, which wasn't early, it was labor, was like hurting so much. And I remember you just telling me to like rest on the couch and to just like sleep. So I remember falling asleep for a couple minutes in between them. Yeah. But then like they start getting more intense, and then I think that's when you decided to get out your phone or my phone and start counting the contractions. And we thought that they were still like 7-8 minutes apart, but we ended up finding out later that they were actually like 4 minutes apart at that point.
Yeah. Because we were counting wrong.
Yeah, we had been counting them wrong. I don't know how we counted it wrong. Was it just adding the?
Yeah, it was whatever the app was doing. I think it was just adding the like the in-between time and the contraction as one contraction.
Yeah,
and
that's
so
right.
We were counting it as 7 minutes apart when the whole thing was 7 minutes.
Right, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So yeah, I guess that is when we texted my midwife, and she was like, well, how far apart are they? And we're like, oh, they're like 7-8 minutes. So we were just like, she kept telling us, oh, well, that's like, you're still pretty early on. So we weren't concerned, like we were fine. But they still felt like really intense. So I think around like, oh geez, I think my mom and your mom showed up around like 6. I think around 6,
because we had, I think Lori got there first before your mom.
She might have. I don't remember if she was there first.
Yeah, I don't remember. I remember like we were getting closer, and I was like, these seem like they're getting closer. I know Lori showed up at one point, and then I know that my mom showed up
Right.
around the same time.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And
Okay.
then Lori was like, "Oh yeah, these are a lot closer than you guys were saying."
Oh, right.
And that was
because
Victoria was still like 2 hours away.
Yeah. Well, I remember she walked to the door, and like anytime I was trying to like talk to her, I would have to stop and like breathe and like get through the one contraction. And I had already started like leaning up against you. Like that was my favorite.
Yeah.
That was my favorite position that whole time, was just leaning up against you because it was like most comfortable, and that was like easier for me to breathe through. But yeah, I guess, Lori showed up. Mom told me later on, whenever Mom was talking about it, she told me that Lori was like concerned when she walked in and saw me. And I think that's when Lori like got on the phone.
Yeah, I know she was mostly concerned because Victoria had the tub and Victoria was not close.
Yeah. Oh,
so
right.
She was worried that they weren't going to get it set up in time.
Right.
But,
oh yeah, because I planned a water birth, and my midwife had the tub. She had that, and she lived 2 hours away from us. So it was like, it was kind of stressful for you guys. I was kind of just going through it until things changed. Like, I was just, like I said, I was in my zone. I was just like reading through it and trying to get through it. But then I remember Mom telling me Lori was concerned because I was a lot further along than we thought. And then, that was that part, I guess. And then I don't know when Victoria showed up. I think she showed up around 8, like 7 or 8. And even then, it took forever to get into the pool. Like you pretty much had started active labor blowing up. I started it.
Set up.
Well, I started I transitioned. I think almost as soon as Victoria had gotten there, because that's when she got there. I remember her setting her stuff down, and then I said, I feel like I'm gonna be sick, and like someone, I don't know who it was, brought me the can, and I threw up. I don't know if it was my mom.
My mom.
Oh, your mom. Okay, yeah. Bless your mom's heart. Oh my gosh. So I think that's when your mom looked at Victoria and was like, is she in transition? Like, what's going on? And then, so I had started transitioning around like 8 probably, 8 or so. But because I was standing up and like just leaning on you the whole time, I guess what was happening was I was contracting and my uterus was pushing the baby down, but he was like, since I was just standing up, he was kind of just stuck. And so my contractions were lasting for like 7-8 minutes with only like a 30-second break in between. And that happened for 4 hours. It didn't feel like 4 hours. Like, I had no concept of time, but that lasted a long time. And I do remember Victoria like strapping the monitor on me to make sure that Ridgley was okay. And I remember like glimpses of that and stuff, but
I mean, I know you were already having the really long ones before Victoria got there.
Yeah, right. I just remember her being concerned about
them. There was probably an hour or two when she was there that you were having those, and that's when she had the monitor on.
Right, yes.
And then at that point, then the tub was full and warmed up.
Right. And I think, did I get in that around 10? Because I think I was in the tub
around 10 o'clock.
Because I was in the tub for like an hour. Oh yeah, because I pushed for 45 minutes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so then I got into the tub, and then as soon as we got into the tub, it was immediate relief. I do remember like being like so relieved that I was able to kind of be in tune with you. I still remember that feeling of like knowing that our baby was gonna be coming soon, but then like being close to you, because like, I don't know, that was just special, I think. Mm-hmm. But then I thought it was funny though, because Victoria was like, oh, she's close, like, Austin, you need to get in the water, and you did, and like, you were behind me for like 40 minutes, and like, nothing happened. I mean, it kind of did. It was, I kept getting like really good, strong contractions where I could push, and then like, they would last for like a minute or two, and I would like sort of get his head out. Like, he was crowned for a long time. Like, his head was down there for a while. So then, I think it was the very last contraction that I had. Well, no, it was next to last. The strongest one I had was the one that pushed his head out. But I had to kind of force push that one a little bit. And then like his head came out, and then I just remember like in that moment just thinking, okay, his head's out. We're so close. Like I just need his body, and then that's when I like had one more contraction, and his body just like came out like that. That was probably the easiest part of the labor, was whenever he was just out. But I mean, that was crazy. Like I said, I don't remember like a ton of it. I really don't remember a lot of what happened because I don't really know how to explain it. It was like it was like I was in like a white room or something, and it felt like it was just me, Ridgley, and God, and it was just me and Ridgley trying to make sure he was out, and then God just making sure that we were safe. But like,
yeah,
it was just so crazy. Like I knew everyone was there, and I knew what was going on, but I just also was just like, I had to keep staying in my zone, because there was like everyone says this, but whenever you are in like the last couple of minutes, they say that's when like most women like want to give up, and most women are like, oh, I can't do this, like I can't keep going, and then that's like a few minutes later is when the baby comes, and that's exactly what happened to me. Like I remember like you were behind me and Mom was holding my hands and like singing to me like the worship music that was playing, and I remember just thinking to myself like, I can't do this, like I'm so tired, like why didn't I just get an epidural? Like I remember thinking that, and then like I just had to keep telling myself like, don't verbalize that, like don't say it out loud, because I don't think I ever said anything like negative about it, or never said I can't do this, because I knew if I verbalized it that it would become real, and I would totally cave. I think that's why I was so in my zone, because I was just like, I don't know. I like when people say that birth is like 85 to 90% mental, like it is. It's really painful, but if you don't have a strong mental mindset, then you're just not going to be able to get through it, which is why we had like birthing affirmations and stuff. And while I had that system with you, like there's a system I had where I told Austin that like if I ever needed encouragement or needed him to like tell me something, I would double tap you on the shoulder. And so like anytime I needed something, I would like double tap him. I do remember there was one time where I was like standing up, we were in front of the mirror and the piano, and I like continuously tapped you because like it was so strong. And I was like, okay, keep encouraging me, like keep giving me those affirmations. And so, but anyways, yeah, so it was crazy. So I ended up having him, he came out easy, he was fine. Kind of took him a minute to cry. I didn't realize that until your mom had said that the other day. But he did end up crying. He was okay. Didn't have like any complications or anything. I had a minor tear, but it wasn't a big deal. Like I was able to heal really easy from that. After that, we got out of the tub, went to the bed. I delivered the placenta. We did delayed cord clamping, so we waited until that was done, clamped his cord, got him weighed, measured. He was bigger than we thought he would be. He was 8 pounds and 12 ounces, and he was 21 and a half inches long. Do you remember? I remember him being long. Like I remember him being like, wow, he was a long baby. God bless you. So yeah, that happened, and then yeah, that was like pretty much the gist of it. I was on such a, like you were probably so tired, but I was on such this like adrenaline high that I was just like I didn't realize how tired I was until I went and changed, and they were like, okay, Hannah, you can rest. And like I just remember like passing out. Like I saw you with Ridgley, like you were rocking him, and I just like fell asleep. I was so tired. But no, I didn't have any complications, like no extra bleeding or anything. Like we were totally okay, and he was healthy, so it wasn't a problem. And he latched really easy. I think he latched like 40 minutes after he was born, like perfectly. So he did good. And
Yeah.
you did good. I remember looking at you though, like whenever you were rocking him, and I was like, oh, such a sweet moment. But then I looked at you and I was like, man, he is so tired.
Yeah, well, it was weird because it was like probably the longest night ever, but it felt like it went by so fast.
That's how I felt.
So it was just like I didn't really keep track of the time because I was keeping track of the contraction time.
Mm-hmm.
And so like when we were in the tub and he finally came out and they said it was like almost midnight, I was like, wow, that was.
Yeah, he was born at 11:51, which is crazy. I remember them telling me it was 11:51, and I was like, what? Like, it's late. Like, I didn't realize. I think in total I was in labor, I think including early labor, for like 15 hours, but I was only in like active labor for like 3 or 4 hours. Like, it wasn't terrible. But yeah, it was pretty cool. I do it over again. I've told a lot of people that, like, if all of my births are gonna be like that home birth, I'm gonna keep having babies in home births, as the Lord wills it. But yeah, I don't know. Anything else that you want to say on that night?
I don't think so. I mean, like I said, I think it was one of the longest nights. But honestly, it was such a cool. It was such a cool night because it was just like I was just there and I wasn't really able to do anything, but I was able to watch you do your thing.
Yeah.
It was fun. So.
How did that feel though? Like yes, like he's our baby, but I was like the one bringing him into the world, and you're just watching me like give birth to a whole baby.
I think I just knew that I had to be there, and so then I was just going to be there. And
right, you're just gonna support. Yeah. Well, and now 4 months later, he's all good, right? You all good? I know, she got another one. Yeah, I think I would highly recommend it.
Yeah.
To anyone who's like gonna do it like the right way. I feel like I don't know. I feel like I think you told me this, but you were basically saying that you have to like train for a birth.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's like if you don't train for a birth, it's like trying to go to CrossFit Games without ever training for the CrossFit Games.
I think that's like a whole different. I mean, if we were gonna make a whole different video, like you did a lot of stuff up to your birth that made the birth as smooth and easy as it was.
Yeah, I mean it was movement, it was working out. Yeah, I wasn't okay, yes, I definitely gave into like cravings, and I had my lazy days where I did absolutely nothing, but a majority of my days were like keeping track of what I was eating and getting certain proteins in to make sure he was growing good. And then it was like going to the gym like 4 or 5 days out of the week. Like I would even go to the gym like in the mornings if you weren't gonna be there.
Yeah.
Like I would make that a point, and then just stretching and taking the right supplements. Like I truly believe that is why I had the pregnancy I had, and why I had the labor that I had, and why I would have no problem getting like pregnant again, because it's like I know there are a lot of women who struggle with pregnancy, but like for me, I'm like I enjoyed it. Like I liked it. Obviously, like at the very end of it, I was like I want him born, but it was mostly because I just wanted to meet him. It wasn't like I was terribly uncomfortable. Excuse you. So, yeah, I don't know. That's true. We can make a whole other video on what you do. But it's just, yeah, you gotta train for it, but it's totally worth it though. Like, I remember just like, I don't know. I remember whenever he came out and you guys, I don't know if you or Victoria had him. I think Victoria might have been, I think she was the one who handed him to me. But I was just like sitting there and I was like crying, and I was like, thank you, Jesus. Like I pretty much screamed that out because I was like, he's finally here. And I remember when they like put him in my arms, and like, I just couldn't believe that he was here. Like I couldn't believe that we had a baby. And I remember looking at you, and you just looked stunned. Like you just didn't know what to say. And like, cause in my head I was like emotional and I was crying. And for me, I think it was like, excuse you. Oh my gosh. Wow. You feel better? I think it was holding him, and also just like remembering Tobias. Like, yes, it was like his moment. Like, that was Ridgley's birth. But I remember holding him and just being like, oh, so this is what it's like. You know, like, in light of like losing Tobias. And I think that's why I was like crying so much too, because I was like, oh my gosh, like Tobias' brother, it's Ridgley. So it was crazy, but it was fun. And then a lot of people like wonder like, oh, what do like the postpartum checkups and stuff look like? But I think it depends on your midwife. But mine, she came over the next day, and just to make sure we were good, make sure I was good. And then I think there were 4 or 5 postpartum checks that were in our plan. And she would just come and check like blood pressure. She would check him, make sure bleeding and everything was good, and that we were just healthy. So she is demolishing that tire.
And she's already ripped it.
Yeah, she is mad. But anyways, that was our birth story. What'd you do anything?
Yeah.
Would you stay up all night for me?
Yeah.
It wasn't all night. It was like through the day and
wasn't that
a little bit into the night. I think we got to bed by at least 1 or 2. So it was okay. But yeah, that's the birth story. 4 months later, almost 4 months. 4 months next week or this week.
Yeah.
Okay.